Live. Kia ora, everybody. What's up? It is Robett. Welcome to Robett Live. And I'm joined by Mike Jenkins, CEO, founder of the Instillery. How are you, bro?
Morning, everybody. Yeah, very good, bro.
Rocking and rolling. Where are you? What's going on? I actually already know the answer because we've been talking a lot this last couple of days, but let's pretend like I don't. Where are you, bro? How's things? What's up?
All good. I'm in the mighty Wakatu, my home, and has been my home for the last few years. Nice to be back home with the family. Man, just back to work, spending a lot of time in this very chair here, the home office or the converted home office, which is actually my bedroom. Stole a chair from the Instillery Waikato boardroom, and here we are.
Are those the Bose 35s noise cancelling ones? Are those? Yeah. See, they are
Old
the
school.
shit for this. So you just got to like pop. So I'm rolling the same but blacks. I was talking to Ed Hyde last week, CEO at
Oh, he's the man. Yeah.
CEO, sorry, at Chorus. He made the rookie move of doing the in-ear bud running waterproofy looking ones. 3 hour calls, mate. Amateur hour.
Well, there's the
Amateur
man
hour.
that's built for speed, though. He's just showing you his athletic ability.
Yeah, true. Is that your bedroom? It is, eh?
And that's my bed, yeah.
What's
That's my
that
bedroom.
red? What's that red little bendery ovary thing? What's that shit? Oh, you gotta
It's
say, oh,
yeah, it's couch, yeah.
oh, there you go, couch on. I thought it was like one of those like fancy like things you sit, blah blah. Anyway. So for those who don't know, in the mix around the Instillery, what you do in the whole space, give people the quick 101. Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Instillery, we've been going 6 years. I founded it back in 2013. For us, we're in the business of cloud, but I guess the evolution of our business has moved beyond helping businesses realize the value of cloud through professional services and consulting to help them run applications and their organizations up there. And there's no better example than the impact of COVID-19 and people sending their entire workforce home within 24 hours notice to really test the value of cloud and software as a service. So that's the business we're in, helping Kiwis get there faster and with confidence.
The we were talking about this before. The seismic shift of offline to online for every single business that had not even, some of them haven't even thought about, don't even know what Microsoft Teams is, doesn't even know how Google Drive works, doesn't know any of the stuff. It has been such a mental shit show for so many that don't understand technology. How have you navigated those who have been fearful around this time?
Yeah, well, I think the reality is, unless you've got technology in place that allows you to work with maximum productivity for home, you can't do your job. And there's been some big businesses, and probably surprising to me actually as well, just how many big businesses and government departments weren't ready. I'll give you a couple of examples where it's health or central agency.
Just don't say the name that
Yeah,
potentially has done a shit
yeah,
job. The
yeah,
last
yeah.
thing either of us needs is a lawsuit, but continue. Yeah.
All good, but
So there's
it
this
was
company,
surprising.
but yeah,
Yeah,
go.
yeah, it was surprising that the number of businesses that weren't ready, and I think that whether it's a matter of they had programs in train to enable the working from home generation to actually work from home, or the fact that maybe they had rushed into it and were trying to enable productivity, but had forgotten about security and the core premise that critical staff data and business data wasn't actually being protected like it was when they were in the office. So for us, it's been a surprise, but a real eye opener. But again, this is the business we're in, and we're all about helping businesses get there faster, and without actually sacrificing the security that underpins being able to work from home productively.
In a cloud business, literally having every single business that's choosing to operate jump into the cloud is going to bring a lot of challenges for many. What's the biggest technology challenge that companies have faced if they haven't messed with the cloud before, of what that actually
Yeah,
means for a business?
yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I think firstly, I'll flip it. I'll go with a positive. Here in New
Yep.
Zealand, bro, the connectivity and fiber. Anyone that was complaining 2 years ago about footpaths being dug up and the
Yeah.
constant barrage around CBDs, I think we can all just sit back and clap our hands. And the likes of Chorus and here locally in the Waikato, John and the team at UFF and the work they've done has been amazing. For example, even over my own home, I live in the country down here in the Waikato, and I had VDSL here up until 4 days ago, and I can tell you the team at UFF cranked up fiber and connected it up within 4 hours. So I was like, that is a phenomenal
Yeah.
ability to be able to crank those services on, and I'm sure businesses across Aotearoa actually were able to do that. But in terms of the biggest challenge, it's security, bro. It's security. It's a fundamentally different approach to securing your business and your data. It's really easy to do when it's sitting in a nice data center and all your users are really close and sitting in one office. When you move to distributed model, where all your users are everywhere, working across the country, across the world, even in terms of an ecosystem of partners, it's a very different philosophy to be able to try and secure those users in that data, and that's where the Instillery comes in terms of our experience in that.
The shift of what this has done for New Zealand tech sector, what's the biggest opportunity coming out of this, you think, for NZ Tech out of the backside of this thing? More embracement into the future of what can be with software? What do you see the future of tech for New Zealand after COVID?
Yeah, I think, and firstly, the New Zealand tech community has done an amazing job, like legit rallying together to try and help the Kiwi economy through. I think it's been amazing. And you see some cool leadership from the likes of JP and the guys at Voda. There's so many cool people doing cool stuff and giving in, like throwing the recipe in to help businesses get through. So for me, I think the biggest opportunity is actually that collective coming together and working as an industry to drive forward. There's no point in us all, baking 10 of the same things. It's not really progress. I think it's actually about looking at how we genuinely see this as an opportunity as opposed to a crisis or a challenge, and actually grab that opportunity by both hands and firmly establish New Zealand as a tech leader on the world stage.
What do you think is the biggest opportunity for New Zealand as commercially out of this?
Commercially, again, I think for me personally, it's the acknowledgement that no matter what industry you're in, what sector you're in, what type of business, big, small, or government, I think it's the realization that your business fundamentally needs to change and become a software business. So every Kiwi business become a business that creates, bakes up products and takes them to the world.
Local to global, but staying local.
Absolutely. Think local. So you guys are intimately across the problems of the day. We got some of the brightest minds down here, young, old, experienced. And I think it's that magic of bringing that together with partners like us to actually realize and deliver on that promise.
That's one of the things I was gonna ask about. I was thinking all these different sectors have all had like a barrage of the same type of problem. At the end of this thing, I wonder around what it's going to look like for like co-working spaces, all with different themes of specific startups and tech solutions for problems that New Zealand as a whole has had. And I really hope that the government, whether it's Callaghan government, whoever it is, really addresses and tries to pull together all these smart minds physically to the same place for all these problems, for solutions to create products and stuff out of it, which can go out of it. Because I would just exactly your point about 10 people making the same cake. I don't want to see a million monkeys doing the same shit, copy paste, and I can see it happening when everyone gets back in. It's like, I'm going to create the flipping thing because this was my problem. It's like, stop, we all have the same problem. I just really hope there's a collated collective approach to sort of consolidate all this great talent into spots and go after a clear North Star, whether it be in tourism or in hospitality or just in whatever these bits and pieces are. What you feel the same way? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's absolutely that collective approach, bro. I think, I sit on the board of New Zealand Tech and been really privileged to be part of that for the last few years. I know Mitchell and Graham and the team are really, it's a challenging time for a number of the people that are part of that. And so I think that, there's a role for New Zealand Tech to play alongside the government. But absolutely, I think it's a matter of actually, just as business owners and leaders coming together, the market it will never be the same. That's my view. And so, I've got a couple of views, and Instillery do around, even the way, like we sent a poll out last week to our 200 plus team, do you prefer to work from an office? Do you prefer to work from home? Do you prefer a hybrid? Because depending on our learnings from this, our productivity has actually gone up in the last 3. We've been working from home for 3 weeks now. Yeah, working remotely, our productivity's gone up. I mean, there's been massive inbound demand, but the ability to actually connect in real time with the technology that we already have in play, being a born in the cloud SaaS and security business, it's changed the game. The only danger is the blurred boundaries between family life, working from home, and I think that's the biggest challenge. But for me, I think it's actually about coming together as an industry and genuinely challenging the what's next, and I think challenging the status quo around, do we really need 3,000 square meter shiny HQs with glass walls, and or what's a micro HQ look like for tech sector in New Zealand and business in New Zealand? And how can we bring communities of people together working in virtual teams to start tackling some of these bigger problems around community and industry?
Yeah, the business headspace from decision makers thinking about leases and team and staffing.
Oof.
You can't. It's going to be tricky too, because if they jump the gun just because they've thought it, after the Kool-Aid wears off, there's always going to be that bounce back, and the last thing they want to do is try and get out of these things, because everyone says they don't want it, and after they get it, they miss people and they want to connect back together, and then where does hundreds of people go? So I think that mixed model is interesting. What was the feedback that you got initially? Because I'm also imagining is over time of week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to be different. If it would stay consistent for someone who, let's say, is a single male, 25 in a flat with 2 other people. It would also, I'm imagining it would be different if you are early 30s with 3 young kids running around and then you don't have an office anymore and you go crazy. So do you think that do you think it'll be a hybrid model of, does it 3 days keep the offices, but is it 3 days a week in the office and then some remote? And how do you think that you are right though, but it's going to be a new dynamic, right?
It's a brave new world, I am that 36-year-old with 3 young kids and a nephew that lives with us, a 16-year-old nephew, and I can tell you I've had some amazing video conferences over the last 2 to 3 weeks where my littlest Sasha has met deputy secretaries of agencies and CEOs and CFOs of big business in New Zealand and around the world. And I guess I sort of love that. That's I talk all the time, Robett, about your sauna effect. And there's no better way to get to know. There's no better way to get to know a person than see what they're about, meet their family, and see how they react, which is the real world. And I think the ability of this crisis to turn this crisis into a genuine game changer for business and how we interact with each other, and just be more open and honest and bring your whole self to work. And there's no better way to do that by working from home.
Yeah. Yeah, that has been some of the feedback which has been really interesting. Obviously, I've been interviewing Jan to a whole bunch of crew and shit, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, it's crazy. Like that was like her bedroom," and you're like, "What?" They're like, "Oh yeah, she's at home, but then she had this on or that, or this guy was there," and it's like kind of humanize those that are potentially seen in big organizations.
Out of reach,
towery shit. Yeah, out of reach. Yeah. And I never really think of those things, but then all of a sudden I do. Well, imagine if, you're CEO of a big organization with a telco, energy, bank, whatever, and everyone sees you're always power suit in the boardroom, or you got some shit on, or the guys, they've got the pocket squares or whatever the shit is. And all of a sudden, he's wearing a t-shirt in the house and he's saying what's up, and it's the CEO, it was.
And I love it.
Yeah, see, we love it because it's more authentic and straight, and just, I don't know, I think it's the approachability and relatability of leaders at this time is actually becoming pretty cool to see in many different organizations, and even feedback, right?
Absolutely, man. It's just cool to see people being real.
I got a question here. When everything goes back to normal and some of the services are going to be expensive, how can we communicate with the customer about it? And also, are they able to pay due to all the losses? Oh, question.
Heavy.
Kind of tough one, but all right. Yeah.
Yeah, you want me to give a crack at it?
Yeah, they're not asking me.
Look. So I think I already said it. The game's changed no matter what industry you're in. So it comes down to a couple of things: continuing to make real intelligent business decisions around where you invest. But the key thing is you got to keep investing. You can't save your way out of this. Look, again, I can talk you from an Instillery perspective. That's something having 2 CFOs on my board, including Bill and my old man Dad. We're really careful when it comes to investment. And in terms of, I guess, the ability to pay bills and that, we've been working really closely with those customers in our portfolio, in our stable, that are doing it tough, particularly in the tourism and retail sector. And I would also say maybe even in the mid-market at the lower end SME of town. We're just working really closely with these business owners and leaders. And I think that we're in a privileged position at the Instillery, given we're a managed service provider. So that variable income and profit is not the hand to mouth of most professional services companies. And so I think we're working really closely and just coming to agreements with them around, they're working really closely with their banks and working out how we can find a way that they can keep the services. Because, man, for a lot of these retailers particularly, we got to keep these big online e-commerce systems cranking, because that's their future, right?
And their lifeblood, everything.
Yeah, we got fashion retailers that are working on, summer collections coming up for Europe and the US, and so they can't stop. Like that's even though their retail stores are closed across the country, they can't stop. And so again, for us, we take that responsibility really seriously, and also those guys are contributors to small economies and small communities that actually rely on them running. So for us, we're just working really closely, doing what we can to cut costs out of their service while also maintaining a commitment to delivering the same services through the process. But yeah, I think you can't save your way out of it. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep investing, and everybody says it. You got to keep spending to keep this economy cranked up.
Yeah, I even just think about the brand building and the goodwill that you genuinely get when you can be the good bastard when times are tough, right? Like being able to, and it's always weird, that small business is one day going to be the big business. Not being an asshole about, the small niggly shit at times like this really makes a difference for so many different business owners and stuff. And especially if they're in a space that they don't know very well, they have to trust you, and you would be their trusted partners for this type of shift. If you don't know anything about the cloud and you're bricks and mortar, traditional analog retailer that's now closed, and you're scared to jump into this world of cloud, what advice would you give them? And where would you start? What would be Cloud 101 for a business that is got no flipping idea what any of this stuff means, but they know they have to do it, and they're really threatened and intimidated by it?
Yeah. I think it's being really clear around what IT in your business costs you today. I think a big challenge when people are trying to build a business case for change is that people and business owners just don't understand the true cost. And even in big business, the true burden cost, how many people are actually working on it, contributing to it, how many SaaS applications, hidden IT costs are running around your organization. So firstly, being really clear, but also just engaging people with experience, because you're exactly right, bro. This is a dark art for a lot of people. And so if you're trying to learn a whole industry in a rapidly evolving, changing industry, you're going to be behind before you start. So I think engaging someone like the Instillery, we've got the frameworks and processes that can sit down with them and understand what are critical applications, what are critical business functions, and then genuinely try and move as much to software as a service as quickly as you possibly can. And then that'll retire the amount of applications and underlying IT infrastructure that you actually need to move to the cloud. It's all about looking for the fastest path to value.
Yeah, very, very well said. It's I think it keeps coming back to that trusted thing. When you don't understand a space, you have to have that person, because you don't have the time to try and figure it out yourself.
No.
The business is moving too fast. That could actually put you behind the eight ball, and it's actually going to be a risk to your business if you don't have trusted partners that you actually work with. The future of just even thinking, like right back to the start, you said, every I've always said every business is its own media company. They'll produce everything end to end, including distribution, which has happened, and I've been, nicely historically correct to that point. But you said that to software, and I'm quite interested just to dig on that just a little bit, because it's verbiage which I haven't heard before. Every business will become a software. So was it a software company or a software business?
I think software company. Yeah.
So what makes you say that? Like if you look at the waves of the horizons that have come through business in and out, the media one I understand, but every business becoming a software business. Talk me through that.
Yeah, I think no matter what service or product you bring, right? And I think the people talk about digital all the time in our industry, and so what really underpins digital is products, and so I think that by effectively cutting out the middleman and bringing that IP closer to the core is going to enable your business to go faster, to be able to get out in front of the market and even react faster to opportunities that come to market by removing that middleman from your business, by elevating the creation of products and the evolution of your own products and reimagining the business that you are today, but in the concept of software products and taking those services to market. And also by building in software as opposed to labor-based processes or professional services, time for money. I think that's going to enable that hyperscale in your business to grow faster than it's ever before.
I've said a couple of times in the last couple of weeks what New Zealand potentially looks like popping out the back of this, and I think the New Zealand tech sector was on track to be the second biggest export in New Zealand within the next 18 months. And I think I feel it was behind tourism.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, please let me know. But hypothetically, if it is or isn't, because people won't be moving around logistically as much internationally for the next foreseeable future. Maybe a year, maybe two. Regardless, It's going to be more than 1 or 2 quarters. The this shift to not only saying every business being its own sort of software company, but also the fact that it's weightless and can go. It's almost a brand new world of opportunity for New Zealand as a whole, for the tech sector specifically, right? How excited do you feel about what are the options of what New Zealand could actually put out to the world? If you had all of the programmers and the brains and the creatives all in a room that's going to export, basically tech will, if we do this right, will become the biggest export in New Zealand.
100.
100. Yep. Okay, so if tech will be the biggest export, how would you navigate these what would the 3 next steps you'd do to be able to do it?
Oh man, like this is a topic very near and dear to my heart. So like I've got a big list.
Send it. Go for it. No, because I've just had a moment. I've just realized that, because I've been saying that it's always been on track to be the lead, but I actually think you might be right, because if tourism, if we're right and tourism was number 1, that's going to flip probably in the next 6 months by Christmas.
Yeah.
So by Christmas, we're essentially saying our biggest export is tech. So what are we going to do about it from now to build forward? And I think to amplify before you go on your little rant would be, if we come back open for business before a lot other parts of the rest of the world, that opens up commercial opportunities for global companies to potentially either set up shop and hiring and stuff and everything here. So go for your event, because this is a really exciting opportunity for those in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes without doubt that actually I think, and this is not an ego trip at all, but I think the Instillery are uniquely positioned to help provide some leadership here. But it will take a village. We can't do this stuff alone. And so I think, we're leaning so far in. We're trying not to fall flat on our face and demonstrate that leadership right now. But I think working at home first, and particularly in the public sector, there is so much opportunity for us to do so much good. I mean, man, a big shout out to all the frontline workers in health. But the challenge of them running their day-to-day business in this COVID lockdown is crazy. Like, these guys are making up with it with 20-hour plus days on the grind 3 weeks in a row. And so I think it starts at home, Robett. I think for me, it's about solving the problems of industry, whether it be health, local council agency, citizen services first. And I think New Zealand having a leadership position here and solving them with technology solutions down here in New Zealand, and then elevating those customer success stories on the global stage. And I think that's the importance that I talked to around continued investment and a commitment to think differently and like fundamentally reframe the problems of yesterday, but in a modern day context, and then export those solutions globally on a much bigger scale. I think that's where it's probably 1, 2, and 3. It's just got to start there, but we've got to start cracking off some of the big problems of the day. And I think it starts here at home first, and government being prepared to commit and invest and change and innovate, and then we take that stuff global. That's the big opportunity. Yeah,
talking around that space around people and ideas comes back to that thing of that collective approach to coming up with new solutions. So when I had the Colay business, we had one of the spots was 46 Albert Street, which was the old NZME Herald building, and it had it's about 10,000 square meters, 4 floors. Is crazy. And my vision for it was, I wanted an epicenter for entrepreneurship in New Zealand with 1,000 people. So I think NZME had about 1,500, and I was like, if you had 1,000 weapons in one building, and the goal was to create billions of dollars of whatever, I think you're almost going to have to. I think that's something like that has to come out of this, right? It's a government-led, gnarly, collective shared workspacey initiative around big problems for New Zealand, and getting these smartest minds together in the same rooms to do it. That's really, man. You're right. Everyone just builds the same shit, right?
Yeah, build the same in a different way. It's a copy paste, and so I think absolutely, but also I think it sees businesses and agencies and the senior businesses in the organization, senior people in the organization, actually stopping trying to translate their business challenge or their patient problem into a technology language, because there's a lot that gets diluted down, and actually just being brave enough to bring the problem, warts and all, in their business language challenge to an organization like the Instillery, and actually allowing us to solve it together. That co-creation aspect is massive. And I can tell you over the last 3 weeks, we've had massive inbound conversations with some amazing humans. It surprises me every day, the room or the virtual room or bedroom, in this case, you find yourself in, I think, so it's just a continuation of and commitment for us to solve those problems at scale. And again, then share. I think a problem in the private sector, it's harder because obviously it's competitive landscape, but like whether it's banking or finance or insurance. But in the public sector, if you're one hospital, one DHB, and you solve a problem, like a game-changing problem that enables, more productivity for nurses and the frontline staff, then we should be shouting from the rooftops and sharing that recipe as quickly as we possibly can and solving that for the whole industry.
Well, I think that's what happens if you've got the IP in the brain to help them through. It's not, we've talked about before, it's not, reactionary projects to their problem. It's kind of proactive strategic partnerships for that new world. And it's that trusted IP around
That's it. Yeah, that partnership concept's really important. It's not a come and do it to you, spray and walk away. It's a strap in together and solve this thing together and let's go. And that constant life cycle, lifetime value is really important.
So governments, councils, big corporates, notorious for being slow. How do you think internal processes or procurement or infrastructure or whatever, like how do you think governments, not just in New Zealand but around the world, are going to be re-looking at how their tech stack is, how they look at infrastructure, IT, staffing, tech, cloud, AI, data, everything? Because surely, I mean, a lot of these systems we both know have been pretty legacy, archaic, slow things, and I'm sure a lot of them have broken. They're just not public about yet, right? A lot of these things have broken. So we're talking about reframe and reset and reimagining this new world for these bigger companies. How would you reimagine those world for these big councils and governments and organizations? How would you approach that?
Yeah, and I think the key place to start is who's got control of it. So, historically, I guess the executive of these big businesses probably diverted to the chief digital officer or CTO to go and fix it. However, what my suggestion is they need to be in the room. This evolution, this market change is going to dramatically impact every single organization and every single industry. And so you need your bosses at the table at the very start to help reimagine and shape that thinking. And those are the people that we want to work with alongside the CDOs and CTOs at the Instillery as well. So I think for me, it starts with having the right people in the right room, but also having the opportunity to do it. You touched on procurement, and it's a topic I'm passionate about around, again, reimagining, reinventing. We can't, with 24 hours notice of a lockdown, you can't afford to say the procurement process is going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get you registered with a new government agency. That's not going to help your 7,000 hospital workers to be able to work from home, and so again, I think that's a challenge. What I am excited about, bro, is Department of Internal Affairs, DIA, state services, those types of agencies are working really hard on that. But it's the Pasha Bulka we're turning around, man. It's a slow trip. But there are committed individuals with each of those agencies that are trying to change the game and enable, I guess, a more proactive approach to engaging people and partners like ourselves to make it a bigger impact for them.
Yeah, so I think about a lot of if you're a CEO of a company and you don't understand tech and you've got a CTO, the wrong answer is, yo, go fix that shit, because that one person isn't going to have the headspace to even understand. It comes back to that collective, right? It's a collective communication, collective thinking, and a community of weapons together. One person does not know the solution for this thing. So it would be weak leadership from boards and CEO level to be trusting the new world of a new way to some guy or girl that's in the role, and just because they have the title for it doesn't mean that they're actually right, because I think every rule's gone out the door with this thing.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the mental capacity, a lot of these guys and girls' worlds are on fire right now. If you had 100 people working from home and now you got 5,000, like you say, you got a lot of things breaking. You got a lot of things breaking in the back end. Might be a pretty front end, but the back end is at least under pressure, and that takes effort and focus. So again, having the brain power and capacity to think more laterally and outside of the box and bring some fresh thinking with a fresh lens and actually genuinely reframe your business and the concepts and the challenges of the day. I think that's where you bring that fresh thinking together. But also, like I said, it takes a village, and you want to lean into the trillion-dollar companies like Microsoft and Amazon and Google. I mean, these guys and the thinking and firepower that they've got, particularly Ness and the team and Nick and the team here locally, I think it's really important that you engage as a genuine ecosystem to solve these big issues.
Yeah. I was going to jump onto leadership. I've been really interested just looking at other leaders in New Zealand with how they're navigating staff and empathy and leading with love and communication, all this sort of different bits and pieces. Clearly, at cloud business, everyone understands what Slack is and bits and pieces for yourself. How have you led your team through? What was your strategy around leadership for this specific thing around Corona? Because you've got a couple of different offices, 200 staff.
Yep.
It's not small, and you're a young dude in the mix. How have you navigated the strategy of your leadership through this?
Yeah, again, my leadership style is just being real. So we've got a real diverse workforce here at the Instillery, from up north down to Christchurch and everywhere in between. It was interesting. You were talking before about the young 25-year-olds, who are sort of, it's okay, they're in a flat, but bro, actually, they're some of the people that are genuinely hurting. If you're in a flat and your flatmates moved home to move into isolation, and you're on your own as a 25-year-old kid, there's only so much Xbox and homemade pizza you can run, in 3 weeks. So I think it's just being, as a leader, it's being aware. We are, as a business, hyper connected to our people. We are the Instillery whānau, and I'm real proud of how our team are reacting. So whether it's someone like me or someone like our team members up in Auckland that are locked at home with their kids for the first time and not traveling, and or people, like friends of mine, Craig down here in the Waikato, he's on his own in his flat, and just getting through. I think it's the empathy to that, and so the way we're connecting and communicating is just high frequency, high volume, but high impact. So it's not 2-hour calls every day with the whole team. It's when there's something material like the wage subsidy, and they want to know. It's get engaged, get out in front of it, ask us anything. We as a board, again, it's amazing the board support that we've got during this time. Like this was right at the end of our Kiwi financial year, our 6 years. So it was, it's a busy time anyway. And again, when I went to the board with my business partner Mike Russell, who's COO here, and we said that actually we need to put the people first, and we came out straight away and just recommitted to the entire team. We're going to pay everybody 100% through this process, good, bad, or ugly. Because I guess we take that responsibility really seriously. 200 plus people, 200 families, that's 200 communities. The reality is a lot of our people are supporting other family members as well. Mm-hmm. And so coming out on the front foot and just being able to just give them that positive reinforcement, the peace of mind to go, that's not a problem you need to be worrying about right now. Keep doing your thing, look after your family first, look after customers, and we'll get through.
Yeah, I didn't know that you did that. So you just fronted the whole thing, like, stuff it. Everyone's in. Let's get up and go. Don't stress about this shit. Let's get onto it as a team. That's such a good will that builds and bonds teams, right? Like I've been thinking about this idea of the end of this thing. It's going to be this crazy filter. We're going to see a huge drop off and crumbling of perceived good businesses that had bad leadership that have been exposed and have because you can't hide the transparency and authenticity of some bad decisions that leaders have made. And then there's going to be these packs of tribes that have gone through something together, and it becomes such a glue of care and love and trust for each other as a unit that there's going to be some crazy stronger insane business with pissle retention issues for the next little while. It's going to be this. I think the leadership in business is going to create seismic shifts in growth and I guess destruction of certain businesses without a doubt. Like I can see it coming. And we see it too. And I think for us, it's about looking after the fams that we've got today, but also letting the market know that we're continuing to invest and continue to grow our team, even in these tough times. And our business has never been busier. So it's about a commitment to those people that are top talent in the market. If they want somewhere to land safe and they want to work on some real cool shit with some cool businesses, then we're the place, and we're the tech buddy for them. You sound like Suge Knight at the Source Awards telling people to come to death row.
I love that. I remember.
He's like, come to death row. So you're actually how do you hire virtually?
What's that? Yeah.
Just like a practical question.
Look, really, really simply, we run a deep bench. So we're in contact, before we need it, usually by about a year. So we've got people that we've been talking to for over a year, over 6 months. So when the time is right, whether for them or for us, we generally make room. And that's just a constant commitment to the Instillery as New Zealand's top tech talent. But virtually, again, video. It's this a real conversation, letting people into your bedroom, having an open conversation around how they're doing, meeting their family in some cases, and some of the interviews over the last few weeks. It is genuinely it's a human connection, man. And I think for me personally, I can really quickly get a vibe of a person.
Yeah.
And that's really important to our commitment for good humans as well here. And in the same vein, I've got an amazing leadership team of people, managers that you can really cut through the bullshit quite quickly around who's good and who's not, and who's the right vibe for our family.
Do you think I've had mixed feedback on this from a couple of different people. One was very EQ feelings driven that can't get context through the screen, and the other one is like, no, it humanizes them because it takes them out of their element, so they don't do the copy paste. This would be great to work here, blah blah. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I share the latter. I share the latter thoughts. I think it's quite funny. People could be, at least in my experience, I think people feel safer because they're sitting in their own house. And so they feel more comfortable within themselves. So quite often, like when people sit down with me, there's a little bit of nerves at the start, which you sort of takes a while to overcome, because on paper, these guys and girls are bosses, phenomenal individual contributors or people leaders. And there's always a little bit of nerves at the start, but maybe that's just, some more introvert people. But I think now the safety of being home and the realness that comes with that, I think you can cut through a lot of it. But also I've seen the other side as well. There's a little bit of a nasty streak in some people, because they probably they wouldn't say that maybe in the same vein that they are saying it, because like they just get to the point, cut the chase. I've got this is my third VC in the next hour, so let's get to it. And you know what? That's not a bad thing either. In terms of full productivity, because you get to the problem, you've got an agenda for your meeting, you smash through it, you do the thing, and on to the next one. So it's just I think it's that fine balance. It's
the styles of it's very much in our vein, like roll up, knock it out, boom, done, next, but then in certain other situations, it's a slow breather, and it's the sit down. So I imagine, it's socially, maybe the lesson or learning might be certain personalities with how you communicate is perfectly timed for an environment like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And people default to type, but the one thing I do hate, is anyone that's bloody late in a lockdown.
Yes.
Because that basically screams to me that you've just deprioritized our thing for another thing. So,
because it's to the second. It's like you have no excuse.
You're not
no
parking
traffic.
the car. So that's real.
So in a time like this, maybe want to get to around we talked about the other day the difference between millionaires and billionaires with how they approach times like this. A lot of millionaires put the handbrake up. Let's ride this thing out. Let's basically just push pause and reset. And then the billionaires that have been waiting years, if not a decade, to come through, they throw the hammer and they go on offense. How do you think the headspace on most businesses that are on defense, that potentially actually have the opportunity to be going on offense right now, how would you, what advice would you give them to actually, potentially look at their business and what potential plays could be done? Because plenty of businesses right now could be growing massively on offense that potentially think that are in defense mode out of fear.
Yeah, and so my only advice, and we're working with a number of our customers, whether SaaS companies, enterprises, small business, and even government, it's put equal measures and amounts of effort into defense or into offense as defense, and that means you got to look over the horizon. You got to look at what's next, and you got to continue to invest. Cutting right now is important for some business. If you've gone from a SaaS business where 90% of your subscribers have said, actually, that's nice to have, and our business has stopped, so we don't need it right now. And some amazing leadership coming from Vaughan and the guys at Vend around pushing pause on subscriptions and that Kiwi SaaS company, which I think is a boss move, a brave move. But again, it's they're supporting the industry. So I think for me, it's about what's next, looking over the horizon, and actually making a real commitment to continuing to invest on a path towards that, because it's the Kiwi businesses, not just here locally, but on the global stage, that are match fit and ready to go post lockdown and post the COVID, potentially a recession, that are really going to dominate the game. So I think it's being brave enough with the board and executive support to be prepared for that, as opposed to still be cutting and pretty much just laying down. But I'm also conscious of there are some people doing it really tough at the moment as well. So it's a measured approach. I don't want those people to be taking this advice and running out, going to the bank for additional money. And I just think it's real. You gotta take a balanced approach. But I think it's really important, particularly for big business, to genuinely think about the world has changed. We have to change. We either follow or we lead. And so that's the brave call that needs to be made.
And every single business is in the exact same boat.
100.
Every single business.
Yep.
Yeah, the wave of gnarly conversations that's going to happen in boardrooms as soon as everyone gets back. It's going to take a lot to decompress and unpick, and then actually within all that challenge and hardship is going to be a bunch of opportunity. But clearly that it's for those that didn't want to embrace it, it's been put on them, and then those who do are going to clearly come out the other side pretty big winners. Appreciate your time, brother. I know you got a million things bubbling away, so it's absolutely awesome to have you in the mix, bro, and shot for the yarns and the insights.
All good, brother, and thank you very much for having me, you guys. Appreciate it, Robert.
Shot G. Talk soon, bro.
Yes.
All right. The bro, Jenkins, founder CEO at the Instillery, good bastard doing good things, and it's kind of weird the whole world goes exactly into the lane that he's in. Cool vibe, seeing leadership all over the show, and he's a bro and good mate, so it's good to see him rocking and rolling and taking charge of the thing. All right, team, I'll see you soon. Adios, until the next one. Peace.